Hello, welcome back to Ask Alan About Low Carb Cocktails. Today I wanted to go over a very simple cocktail called the Old Fashioned. There's a classic way to make an Old Fashioned, but there's a number of slight changes to that make the drink a little bit better. First off, an Old Fashioned typically is made with either around 2 ounces, sometimes 2.5 ounces of bourbon or rye whiskey. I'm also going to look at a tequila and a rum variant of that. But the classic Old Fashioned, it has 2 ounces of bourbon or rye, a 1/4 ounce, maybe a 1/2 ounce of simple syrup, or if you don't want to water down your alcohol as much, then you can just use some like a teaspoon and a half of sugar. I tend instead to use a packet of Splenda when I'm doing that, and 2 to 3 dashes of Angostura bitters, which is the standard bitters to put into an Old Fashioned. It also calls for an orange peel and cherry for garnish. I don't always put those in there, but there's cherry. One cherry doesn't have a lot of carbs, but the maraschino cherries, Oxardo cherries, or other cherries are sweetened, and that's something you have to be careful of. So let's start off with the first one, which is the classic, and I'm using a Knob Creek. I'd gotten a bottle that was actually kind of large, that it happened to be on sale, and I was able to get a really good price on that. So you don't need anything other than the glass that it's going in. So you put 2 ounces of the bourbon, and Knob Creek, this is 100 proof, so usually for an Old Fashioned, 100 proof or more is what you want to typically go with. If you want to cut the alcohol back a little bit, using simple syrup is the thing to do, which I have right here. That will add a little bit of water, or if you don't, then just using the packet of Splenda. So in this classic one, I'll just put the Splenda in there, and usually I would put that in before I pour the bourbon in, so it helps to mix it a little bit. And then the next thing is the bitters, 2 to 3 dashes. And that's basically all you put in there, except for the garnish. Now, they often call for using a large ice, and I've got these ice balls that I make with this silicone container that has a hole in the top to put the water in, and it makes it pretty easy to make an ice ball with that. It's not a clear ice. You can get things that allow you to make clear ice. I don't have that. This is good enough for me. You don't want to just drop it in. You want to put the spoon in so it doesn't splash up at you. And then the orange peel is something that is usually called for, and you want to express that over the drink. And then place that in there as the garnish. That tastes decent. It's a classic Old Fashioned. and we'll set that aside. The way that I like to make them instead is a combination of orange bitters with the Angostura bitters. That gives it a little bit more better orange taste, and with that, also I'll put in a cherry into this one, but it also allows you to have basically the same drink but a little bit more orange, and that tastes pretty good. So again, in this case, we'll try using the bitters, and a quarter to a half ounce, depending on how much sweetness and how much you want to cut back the alcohol. So I'll put about a half ounce of Splenda based simple syrup, 2 ounces of the bourbon, two to three dashes of the orange and 2 to 3 dashes of the Angostura bitters. An ice ball or large ice cube. And the reason you use a larger ice ball or cube is so that you don't get ice just melting and diluting the alcohol. The other thing that I'll put in there is another orange peel, and again expressing that over the drink and placing that in. And this time I will add a maraschino cherry. And it's a little more cloudy because of the orange bitters, and it's something that is going to taste pretty good. So that's got a more orange forward flavor, but it does taste very, very good. The next thing is that we're going to try a tequila based old fashioned. I've actually not done this, but I have this tequila that's almost gone. It's one that was rested, I think, in a sherry cask. It's only 40 proof. So with that, the way that we'll do that is it calls for a quarter to a half ounce of simple syrup. So we'll go ahead and put that simple syrup in. It prefers to have agave syrup, but I don't want to use that. And 2 ounces of the tequila. And I haven't made this before, so it's going to be a surprise to me what it comes out as. Usually you want to use a reposado or an año tequila when you're making this. And then you want to use 2 dashes. It just calls for 2 dashes of bitters. It does not call for orange, so I assumed that they wanted to use just Angostura. And an orange peel, which we'll put in after we put the ice. That recipe did not call for cherry, and some people put take the orange peel and they put it around the rim to get that extra orange oils into the drink. That's decent. That's interesting. Never had that before. I think it would be better with a Reposado or Años tequila. It would taste a little bit more like an old fashioned that you expect it to, but this actually tastes good. And then the one that I want to try now is a rum tequila, and I'm using this. It's a premium rum. It's called Queen's Share from Just Rum out of Oregon. This bottle I'm not going to open because I happen to have a sample, and I'd like the sample quite a bit. And this bottle, it is something that's rested in wine cask. It's not port. The distiller wanted to get port casks and he wasn't able to get them, but he ended up with the type of cask was it's slightly different wine that he used. It tastes really great, but I'm going to combine here something that you can do with the bourbon as well, and it tastes really good. But this is actually a very high, 134 proof, I think, 124 proof rum. So if you're using an even higher base bourbon as well, higher proof, then you'll want to do something like this where you try to mute some of the heavy alcohol taste, especially if you're not used to that heavier taste. So in this, the way that I'm going to do this is to I have an orange slice, and I bought these dehydrated oranges, just a half a round. That way I don't have to cut up oranges all the time when I want to make something like this. So these for garnishes are fine because it's just garnish. But in this case, I actually took one and took the peel off of it as the thing that I'm going to use to muddle with. And normally I would put the simple syrup in just a half an ounce and let that soak into the dehydrated orange slice, or if you're using actual slice of real orange, just put that in there. And this is what makes it really good, is these Peninsula premium cherries. These have about 5 grams, I think, 4 grams per cherry. Not too bad, but still, it's something you have to be careful of. But you put that into the bottom as something that you're going to muddle, and that gets those flavors into the old fashioned more so than just being a garnish. So again, when you muddle, you kind of just rock back and forth. You don't want to bang it, especially if you're doing mint leaves, because you just want to bruise the leaves. But you're trying to get the oils or other things out of whatever you're muddling into the drink without creating any bitterness, which you sometimes get if you are doing more than just rolling back and forth on a mint leaf or an orange peel. But so a quick muddle of those items into that small amount of liquid, and then this rum, but the sample that I have here, I want to use that up before I open up the bottle. And 3 to 4 dashes of Angostura and 3 to 4 dashes of orange bitters for this particular version. So that's adding quite a bit of additional flavors into a very good rum that would taste good on its own. And with that, add the large ice cube or ice ball, and then I would put another dried orange slice just as a garnish, and that will end up break that in half so it goes down along the edge of the glass, but that will soak up some of the alcohol also. But this is another very good drink. And it's definitely a little more strong because this rum is an overproof rum, but that's why with this you want to put in the cherry and the liquid simple syrup, not use a packet. So those are 4 versions of Old Fashions, and there are a lot more. There's chocolate Old Fashions. I can't remember what all types there are, but there are definitely quite a few Old Fashioned recipes out there. These are just 4 that I think that you'll like, and they have relatively low sugar content. Mostly the sugar, since we're using simple syrup that is made with Splenda or allulose, that will give you virtually no carbs. The only carbs you really get is whatever you get out of the little bit of orange that's in there and the little bit from the cherry, if you put a cherry in there for garnish, or in this last case if you muddle it. So that's how I like to make the Old Fashioned. This last version is the very, very good version, but there's so much variation, and an Old Fashioned is something that, if you just use a simple version of an Old Fashioned recipe, is something that allows you to really get a lot of the taste of the bourbon or the rye or the rum or whatever alcohol you're using, and just a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of orange, just as a side taste, to help to improve a little bit of not drinking straight alcohol. So that's what I have for this week. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found this interesting and hopefully also informative. Let me know what you think. Add your comments, like and subscribe to the channel and to this video, and definitely let's grow in our path towards learning more and more about how to make decent cocktails and make them lower carbs.